So, Rob, where are we recording stuff?
Oh, all right. Yeah.
We're
What's
just
up?
Casual.
Yeah,
What up, man?
how's it going, dude?
Robbie Trevino, man. What's up, dude?
You know, it's a nice day in LA. Yeah, beautiful weather. Just here hanging out. How about you? How you doing?
Doing good, man.
Yeah.
Just hanging. Same thing. Just enjoying, finally LA's getting some really enjoyable weekends, so it's cool.
Yeah,
So
that's
having
awesome.
fun over here with you, man.
For sure.
So, tell me about yourself, man. Like, where you're from and a little bit just kind of for the audience. Well, I guess before we jump into that, we should just kind of let the audience know. Welcome back to another episode. We're here with Robbie Trevino, an amazing illustrator and concept artist, and somebody I think y'all should, kind of get to meet. He's a really cool individual and an amazing inspiration. So maybe you can just give a quick intro to all the people out there.
Yeah, I'm an amazing inspiration. Robbie Trevino. Yeah, like you said, illustrator, concept artist. Yeah, been in the game for about 13 years now, which is crazy to think about because I can still remember graduating and that's 2012, lifetime ago. Industry's definitely different than it was back then, but it's been a lot of started out as an illustrator, tabletop RPG, sort of went into AAA games, then some mobile games, some casino games, some film and animation, and then back to AAA, and then now it's more like AAA but with an indie twist, and I don't know, I'm kind of all over the place. It's been a lot of bobbing and weaving, and it's been interesting and very unexpected, a lot of really unexpected opportunities, but I'm here, I'm still doing it, it's a lot of fun. I'm curious to see where it all goes. We can get into all that, but that's basically my spiel.
Where did you grow up?
Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit, Michigan. Gotcha.
Yeah, probably explains the love of cars, right? Which is another interest James and I have. Definitely two car guys for sure.
Yep.
It's funny enough, actually, I got started before I got into illustration. I went to College for Creative Studies in Detroit, Michigan, right? And growing up in Michigan, it's the Motor City, it's Detroit. There's it's just cars is a thing that you grow up with there. All of my friends' families, most of them were, if they weren't doing some blue collar job, if they weren't doing contracting or plumbing, or they weren't an electrician, because this is the Midwest, right? They were usually an assembly line worker or something for one of the big three, Ford, GM, Chrysler. So
gotcha.
Yeah, it's sort of woven into your bones. If you're a Michigander, is cars is you at least drive a car, if not be involved with it somehow. So I love cars and I wanted to get into car design, so I went to College for Creative Studies for automotive design. It started out as industrial design, moved into cars, but I kind of realized this might not be for me. It was cool in the beginning, learning the skills, but the reality of you'll be drawing, everyone thinks they're gonna do the next Dodge Viper or something, and it's actually you're gonna just draw door handles for minivans, probably.
Right,
so I was
right.
I think maybe something else. And all of my teachers too were all of your ideas are too unrealistic. They're too nothing that you design is real real world applicable. It's too out there. It's and that's when maybe illustration, the concept art wasn't a thing for my school in the curriculum, but I kind of wanted to do something along the lines of that, and that's when I started looking at the old Gnomon DVDs, way back in the day, and found CG Hub and DeviantArt and DeathCore and all these really OG digital 2D digital websites, and that's when I realized maybe there's something here. And then I basically pivoted into illustration and then graduated with an illustration degree, but sort of made a concept art curriculum out of it. So but I actually, funny enough, I did bring might as well just to share with the audience. I did bring I hope this isn't derailing the.
No, this is
okay.
Cool.
Great.
This
Yeah. So this is my college graduation portfolio. This is the thesis, the culmination of my senior year, right? Was I wanted to do tabletop RPG illustration. That is sort of the most tangible path forward I could find, like, because again, I'm not into concept art yet, but I was like, I want to do illustration. I'm seeing Games Workshop, I'm seeing like Warhammer 40K, I'm seeing Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, like, you know, all these things, you know, RPG tabletop type stuff that I'm really into. I grew up with it. I see the art for it, and I'm like, maybe I could be one of the artists behind it. So like, I actually made, I'll show it to you and the audience, right? Like,
Nice.
I made basically, yeah, maybe we'll do something like this. I made a collection of, you know, illustrations, you know, that, you know, not so much in context, right? This is more like, it's just like here's the skills, you know, like, but not a lot of context. But I did end up creating actually things in context, and I'll show that in a second. And this is where we start to get more contextual, more focused on fantasy, right? It's an orc, obviously, but I was like, you know, really gunning for Dungeons and Dragons specifically, right? It was a lot of this stuff, right? This is more concept art, you know, I would say, but it's still kind of illustrative. And then this is where I like really targeted Magic the Gathering. I basically like made the art, but then I also like made fake card mock-ups, and if you look, you can actually see I photoshopped my name into these. These aren't real, these are fake, but I printed them on cardstock. And the idea here was like, basically, like, if you could like really show your work in context, like, and really target a company, like, what's one way to win them over? And I thought maybe other than just like demonstrating, like, here are my, you know, illustrations, like, put them in context, like, slap them on the product. Like, why not like really go like, you know, hard with that? And
that's just good advice.
Yeah, no, it was and that's something we can definitely, you know, get into more, but it's just like, that was sort of my strategy, was like, I'll target Magic, I'll target Wizards, and like, it really worked out. They were like, this is awesome, we want to hire you. And funny enough, they like bought the publishing rights to some of those cards too.
Nice.
Yeah, you know, it's less than a commission, but like, you know, when you're just like a broke college student from like, you know, like a little town in Michigan, you're definitely like, this is like I'm a millionaire now. This is like amazing, right?
So like true.
So like I don't know, it also just blew my mind that I was like, oh, your work is like good enough, like, you're hireable. The only feedback I ever got was from other students, and that is like its own like headache thing of like, you know, you're already confused enough just trying to learn how to draw and paint and stuff, and you've got everyone giving their own opinions, and none of it's really like real world usable advice. It's just sort of like art student advice to other art students. And so just to be told like, you're good, like, this is good, like, you know, it blew my mind. So like, that was my start. And then we can delve into all the other stuff, but coming out of the school, that was my play, was like, I'm gonna be an illustrator, Magic the Gathering, and then I got it, thankfully.
You know, I think like something that's kind of interesting to hear about all of this is how some of the stuff from your past has, you know, all these exercises and kind of, you know, little experiments that you did led up to where you are now. What else kind of from your background? Because when I look at your work, it's so visually unique in so many ways, of design, style, color palettes, just ideas.
Sure.
Where does that come from? Oh man, your ideas are like pretty unique, and I could say that I've probably glanced at a few pieces of art so far in my life, and I'm just like, wow, you know.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that, you know, that it speaks to you in some way. That's like, I've learned that's kind of like the most satisfying thing about making all the art. It's not like the money, you could earn so much money, but it just like disappears. But if you can leave like a creative handprint on the world or something, like a legacy, right? Like, and you can call it your own. It's not just like a company legacy. Like, I worked on, which is a cool thing too, and I get to do a little bit of that too, like work on IPs that people love and stuff. But like, I don't know, like, it's my thing, I guess, is like my thing, and like I'll be remembered for that. So it's good that I like found that. But like, how did I find it? It wasn't immediate, and it wasn't easy. Like, the stuff I showed was like technically competent, I would say. It was good enough back then to get me hired. I don't know if it would work now, but like, doesn't really have like a distinct identity. Like, you couldn't really pick out me from like an ArtStation lineup of other people who know color theory and composition and stuff, right? Like, so like, I think I got into that that I found that stride in 2016, and it's like a really interesting story, and it's something I've talked about a lot over the years. Like, so the Magic stuff was 2012, then like, 4 years of like AAA games, illustration, mostly AAA. Like first year and a half was freelance illustration. Then I started working at Xbox, really started learning concept design, really started like, that was a very like trial by fire experience, like really stylized stuff, way different than what you see, like high fantasy photorealist. It's like completely opposite. It was basically like you're a visual development artist for like animation. That's kind of the mental muscle I had to like learn in real time and flex, and like it really taught me a lot about design, right? So I've got the painting experience from illustration. I'm coming into like design, like, macro, micro shapes, small, medium, large, areas of rest, areas of detail, like silhouette, extending anatomy, like all that stuff. Like it's, I'm starting to learn more about design, but what I'm realizing, I think it was around like it was 2016. I got this casino games job. It was this company called Gimme Games. They're in Atlanta, but obviously their clients are like Vegas, and like a lot of China loves gambling, so it's like a lot of Chinese clients too, right? So like just a lot of Asian countries I think do, but like basically I coming from like the AAA grind to casino games, like I'll tell you, the quality bar of art was like, the expectation was much lower, but I was like so much over from like a technical abilities point of view. I was like overqualified, overtrained. So I had all this bandwidth at the end of the day, right? I would just knock out my art and it'd be done like before everyone else's. And I was like, I got all this extra time and I still have all this energy, and I'm just used to like grinding it out. Like, what do I do with all this bandwidth? And that's when I started like thinking about like, well, what would you do if no one was paying you to do it? Like, and that's when I started remembering back to like all of the weird, the Moebius looking comic books, and then like Meta Barons, and like anything that like Jodorowsky, like his like, acid trip Dune movie that never was, like I was starting to think back to like, what are the influences like that you really loved? And it was like a lot of weird A24 stuff before it was A24. It was a lot of comic books from Europe. It was a lot of world building stuff too, like Star Wars, Dune, bunch of world building type things, and like ended up I think just sort of like percolated in my brain, sort of like in the background, and it was never consciously an option. It was more like this subconscious interest, but no market, so like why draw things like that? And but the other thing is, I think, there's a bit to unpack here, but like to keep continuing, it's like I got the job, right, of the casino games job. It's comfortable. It's like easy enough. I'm not thinking about money in my spare time, right? I've got like an extra, few hours a day that I can just like jam on whatever I want, and like that's when like I started, just I think those ideas, right? You're freestyling and just like, what's in your like subconscious stream of thought that comes out to the surface. And it was a lot of the weird mechanical creature type stuff, and it started out as just like stylistic exercises. It wasn't like I'm writing a story, here's a narrative sequential thing. It was just like I'm just drawing things that I think are like visually appealing, and I can't tell you why I'm drawing them. And like the collections, if you dive through ArtStation, it's like the collections were named like Your Mom, Your Mom Part 2, like Your Mom, and people. But what's interesting is like, I was having fun with it, and I was like, these are interesting designs, and I find them like really fun. I don't really, I'm just like doing like design exercises with like shape and color and creatures and stuff, and like I started getting a reaction. People started going like, hey, like what, like does your mom have like friends, like like is this a book, like what is this, and then when I really like hit it was when I like, it was this piece, it's like an avatar that I have on like most of my like profiles. It's like this like fleshy face, and then there's like a little astronaut jumping in front of it, and like clouds and stuff. It's very like Dolly meets like Moebius. You know, it's like really weird stuff. That's when people started going like do more of that specifically.
Yeah.
It was like red paleted, you know, it had sort of like a terracotta, fleshy sort of look to it. And anyway, I don't know, the reaction, the positive feedback was like very encouraging, and then, you know, made me realize like, oh, like maybe I do push into this more and more. And then I did another piece. It was the giants with their hands like scooping up the people, and you know, that was again like really out there. And I think that was sort of ended up being like a sort of unintentionally symbolic. This is where we get really like woo woo the stars and stuff, but like I think it was like an unintentional metaphor for like, if the people are being lifted on this, you know, holy pilgrimage, right? They're on the ground. There's these giants that are like, they're piercing the sky. They're reaching down sort of from the heavens. They're scooping up these characters to, I can only assume, another plane of existence, right? It's almost like you've unintentionally like ascended this sort of like, you know, aesthetics and like trends of the industry, because you've let go of that pressure to like get hired and be marketable, and like, you know, like the motivations aren't biased when you're making this art. You're not trying to get hired, you're not trying to like make art for other people, you're just making it for you. So what you have is this like this little story that sort of represents you like growing as an artist and finding a style. And funny enough, like that sort of look, right, as I like began to like develop that world into like a personal project and like really pushed and grew that as a visual identity, like that's when like clients started knocking on the door, and they were like, you like, can you do something like this for us? And like it's like, yeah, I remember getting like hired at like Lucasfilm at one point, and like they were, you know, it wasn't Star Wars fan art, it was like, we see like really interesting like designs, and like we could see like a fresh, you know, like a bit of like extra flavor in a very like expected stew, right? Like we know what Star Wars is, like, but maybe we could like, you know, yeah, maybe if there was like something new we could add to it. But also my art director who hired me also said, it was just like, we're also looking for like very competent design, and like, you know, there's no hiding like mistakes or lack of knowledge if it's just like line work, cell shading, nothing else. Like smoke and mirrors, like texture, fog, lighting, like you can't really hide lack of interesting design or thought. So like working in a very honest style like that, yeah, it speaks to, you know, employers and clients, because like I think yeah, they just see like a good idea is a good idea. Like if we want to like add more rendering or, you know, fidelity on top of it, we can do that depending on the, you know, the project or whatever. But like, yeah, it's interesting. Like, yeah, I stopped following the trends because I was frustrated, you know, in 2016, and I thought like, well, you know, I've got all this time and all this bandwidth, why don't I just like try something different? And it ended up being this sort of like, you know, the visual stuff, the visual identity that you see now. But one other thing I want to add to this too, I think if I could get like really technical with it, growing up in like Michigan and seeing a lot of like, I'll call it like, I don't want to say urban decay, but like, we'll say the bones and like the skeletal remains of like the Industrial Revolution, meaning like mass production of cars and like the automobile were like such a revolutionary thing for Detroit. But there's all these factories and all this leftover infrastructure that is just sitting there and rotting, and it looks amazing. It's like a lot of like, you know, mechanical, you know, very like hard surface, juicy type stuff, right? And then there's like a Last of Us twist where it's like all this foliage and the earth is sort of growing over it and taking it back, and lots of, you know, rusted out cars with like, you know, the hoods are like peeled back, and there's all, you can see like the motors and like the drive shaft, and like all the, what you see is like they sort of see like a biomechanical anatomy that is exposed, and you shouldn't be seeing it, but you're seeing the anatomy of the car. And I think that translated into like the sort of like exposed, you know, organs and cross. Yeah, like I really had to think about it. Like, where is this like sectioning and like cutting up of things coming from? And like, I think a lot of it, you know, was just like exposure to like, yeah, just like machinery that was like sort of taken apart, and like, you know, you're seeing things that you shouldn't in certain ways, and like, you know, it's a lot of, it was mechanical, and I ended up going more like biological with it, I guess, but like
fused.
but I think your brain just sees like shapes. My brain at least sees like pleasing and interesting shapes and like sort of regurgitates them in some way. So I think a lot of that was going on too.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
But also maybe I just did a lot of drugs. I don't know.
maybe.
No, I mean maybe I have, but like that I'll tell you that doesn't work for me either though. Yeah, no, I think that's like my long-winded way of saying like, yeah, I think a lot of artists their identity, right? When you really think of like who's Dali, who's Sid Mead, who's Moebius, who's Geiger, it's like they're calling on like real life experience.
Gotcha.
Like Moebius, like I believe he like lived in parts of, I think it was like the Mexican desert if I remember correctly. Like I could be wrong on this, but I've heard that he spent some time in like very flat open terrain, and then you look at his work and he has all these like crystal palaces, you know, with like really clean. Right. Yeah. And so it's just like, I think, yeah, I've heard stories of one, I'm trying to think of the artist's name, but he's an environment concept artist and he has a lot of like very like splashy, punchy, you know, like it's almost like you almost think like arbitrary like color choices and like, you know, but what I heard is I believe they either grew up on a boat that had a lot of like shipping cargo containers that are all multicolored,
random.
or like they at least observed a lot of them.
Yeah.
I believe that's how the story goes.
That makes sense.
And I'm seeing it. Oh, so like that's like information that's been like burned into their brain, and like if they're freestyling, that's the color choices they make.
That's
so like,
cool.
yeah, it's just like I don't know. Yeah, this is why I definitely encourage people to travel as much as possible, so you can get that real world observation, like build up a unique visual library. But mine ended up being like sort of like the messy leftover scrap metal stuff.
Well, that makes sense.
Detroit,
like,
right?
It's like you spin it in like your own beautiful way, man. It's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a lot of other stuff there too, but those are my most immediate explanations. I'm sure if we really got into it.
So, you know, you touched base on something that's like a really key point, which is, as an artist, a lot of people are trying to just get that job. So their techniques, their focus of portfolio, even everything they do and create is biased. You know, I love how you kind of put that. And then you said once you get that, then you can actually kind of shed your skin and be this new creation. Like you can actually create with a much more personal message, you know?
Yeah.
Was that kind of like when, I don't know, you kind of realized for yourself, was that a realization moment of some sort where kind of thought, man, this is where your real voice is coming out. This is where like the real Robbie is kind of being born, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I think the more I began to just do that type of work, even before it was even getting like any kind of attention on social media, I was like, this is so much more fun. Like it's
like you felt it.
Yeah, like you know when you like are like really excited about a piece, but you're like, dude, this is like gonna blow people's minds. Like, not that it's like about them.
Yeah.
But like, I'm making it, and I'm like, I'm so excited that I don't know if I can actually finish it because I'm like I had a lot of moments like that, and like that is not something that I get easily from client work. Even now, working on like really cool stuff where you're like, this is like people like dream of like insert whatever job you're working on, and I'm still like, I don't get excited like that the way I did for the other, and that's. I think maybe the other part of it I'm learning too is that like, I don't know, I've done a lot of work that I've put a lot of effort into like client work, and I've kind of learned over the years, like when I go back to the personal stuff, whatever it is this special little place because it's something that you own, and like it can't be, you know, it's not going into a game that might get canceled. It's not going into a film project that'll never get greenlit or whatever. It's just like, you own it and you can do whatever you want with it, and like it's this thing that is, you know, it's like unbiased, and you can just, you know, put as much effort into it as you want, and the whole point of it is just you're doing it for you, and that's all that it needs to be. And then that usually ends up being, you know, a lot of other things because it comes from like a very sincere place, so I think people respond to it a lot more.
You could see the difference. There's also a visual difference of when the excitement is there, you know.
Yeah.
It's so you kind of mentioned that, but is there a specific piece that you kind of have in mind that was kind of like that moment?
I think it was the brain stew looking one. You know, with the
Yes.
it's called the folk of old. Oh wait, no. No, yeah, it's the folk of old. Yeah, hill folk is the walking towards the like giant leviathan mountain with appendages. Yeah, yeah. I think folk of old was one of those things where like I really just really leaned into it, and that's also when I started attaching writing to the pieces too.
Right on.
Right, yeah, I believe. Yeah,
Nice pun, right?
right.
But did you like get into writing classes, or like how did you?
Yeah, so I really started gravitating towards one of my inspirations from like old comics and stuff is Sergio Topi, right?
Okay.
Like master of like, you know, composition and like design, and like the hatching language is so cool too. But what I noticed was I was seeing with a lot of the sort of like comic book panels and sort of spot illustration layouts he was doing, even illustrators again like Dean Cornwell, for example, right? There was typography that was like interacting with the illustration, and it's almost like the illustrations were like designed in a way to like accommodate for the type.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is just so cool, because prior to that, right, working in concept art, you know, everything is so like, this is an establishing shot, it's the whole canvas, it's very like the canvas is very like defined and linear and like just here it is, like it's a box.
Yeah.
Breaking out of that, found it interesting. I started like exploring that technique with like I think at this point, right, I'm thinking of the folk of old piece. I think there was already like a narrative like established, sort of, at least like a world that is thematically tied together. And at this point I've got my world building hat on. It's no longer like scribbles in notebooks or like, you know, experimental styles. It was like I see a story happening here, like these creatures, like I think I want to like maybe attach some writing to this. So I designed the composition in a way that like it would accommodate for like some text, right? And like that piece, I remember as I was doing it being like, even just seeing like thumbnails of it, I was like, ooh, this is like really cool. Like I'm like, I think this is gonna get like a really good reaction, because I've looked at a lot of stuff and I'm like, yeah, I was pretty excited for it, and I was thinking like, this is awesome. And I definitely, I can't recall. I've looked at a lot of stuff over the years, and I can't recall seeing anything like this. Like I think I might be onto something like really different here. And also I just like the composition of it too. I like the idea of it, right? It's these like three creatures around this like pot of knowledge, and they're sort of like, you know, feeding it information. They're like gathering information, and then it's like, you know, sort of stirring and percolating this brain pot, and then being sort of literally printed biologically onto like scrolls that are then plucked from it like fruit from a tree. And there's a sort of like cartographer character below that's sort of like taking it and, you know, bringing it over to other creatures. So it was this weird like fountain of knowledge kind of like thing that I made, right? And I was almost like tapping into like the hive mind is kind of like what I thought of a little bit with that piece. And as far as writing goes, that's okay. So that's definitely the piece that I was like, this is the shit. Like, we're here, we've arrived. Like, I'm into this. And that's also when I like started, like, you know, I tried some writing myself. Luckily, you know, roommates, friends, people that I knew were like, who were better with their words, were like, good start, but like, let's work on this a little bit. Because like, I'll be honest, like I you know, I have a voice, but I'm not like a skilled writer, and I don't have the ego to claim I am either. Like I don't write, like I'm better at it now, and I definitely like co-written with friends. That's and amazing. Like it's a skill I've learned. It's more so like lore from a codex than it is like I'm George R.R. Martin and I'm like writing like the next Game of Thrones. It's not like it's not super deep on like an emotional level, at least like in a way that's like understandable to people. It's more like, here's sort of like the world building notes, here's the lore. Really what the pieces ended up coming together to become is this thing called Numinous, which is this like book project I've been working on, I guess, since 2016.
What could you say, I don't know, to you in the past, to a younger artist, someone that's in like Detroit and just like out, what kind of words of wisdom or anything, encouragement, something that you can let people know, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think the advice that I give myself still to this day and would give to my past self and give to anyone who will listen is like, okay, the way to just like dumb it down entirely is just like, be the artist you want to be, not the one you think you need to be. Like, I get it. Industry trends, hireability, marketability, these are the biases that come into play, right? When someone's on their creative journey. And like, I get it. Like, are you a fine artist or are you a working artist? Like, I get it. You need to make money. That being said, I do think a lot of people find themselves in situations that are less than ideal, and they're doing things that they don't actually want to do. They're being artists, professionals, in a way that they don't actually enjoy. I was definitely. I thought I wanted to do high fantasy tabletop RPG stuff in perpetuity, especially when I got it. I was like, this is it forever, right? And a teacher even told me, he said, like, I see you're having, you're doing it. Like, I'm so happy for you, but like, realize these are just stepping stones to something else. And I didn't really appreciate what he said nearly as much in the moment. I was kind of like, yeah, but I'm probably gonna just do magic forever anyway. And then within 2 years, I was like over that idea of like, this is it forever, because there's just so much opportunity out there, and you end up doing so many things you didn't think you'd do in life, and blah blah blah. But like, yeah, like what he told me is like, everything is a stepping stone, and he was absolutely right. And even the thing I'm doing now is going to be a stepping stone to something else, like, or a different version of what I'm doing now. I mean, who knows? But like, you take opportunities where you get them, like it's like this skill tree that keeps like growing in a video game, right? And you're like learning and leveling up, right? Like, take opportunities, like, be relevant, be marketable, but like, do not lose sight of the thing you actually enjoy doing, because that is a job, not a career, if you don't actually enjoy doing the thing that you're doing. And I think, definitely, not to get like super technical with the portfolio advice stuff, but it's like, I see people pad their portfolio with things that don't interest them in the slightest, but they're doing it because they want to appear well-rounded. And it's like, it's the same thing we were talking about, like pitching ideas to clients, right? And just having like quantity, not quality. And then they choose the wrong idea, and then you're stuck with that, right? Imagine the career version of that, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you want to do the thing you actually enjoy doing, and maybe it isn't the most marketable thing, right? But like, you will enjoy doing it and you'll actually be happy, because the money component doesn't override the like, do I enjoy this or not component. It would have to be an ungodly amount of money, and most of us, I would say all of us, are not going to get that. So let's be realistic here. Do you hate the thing you're doing, or do you love the thing you're doing? Like, be the artist you want to be, not the one you think you need to be.
Wow.
Despite like industry trends and pressures, and I know it's there, right? Like, you're so confused, and I just graduated with so much debt, and I was just like, holy shit, I'm gonna like die with this debt. I need to like make money immediately. I'll do anything. I'm desperate. Bias. But like, if I didn't have all that leaning against me, I would have been a completely different artist from the start. So it took me about 4 years to get there, which isn't a long time, but like, yeah, I could have spent those 4 years doing, cooler stuff, or at least been happier.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't making a ton of money, but like, and then, even then, sometimes the money will come anyway, but like, don't do this for the money. That's the wrong motivation. Do it because you love it. So like,
That's true.
again, just like, be the artist you want to be, not the one you think you need to be. That is like my biggest pearl of wisdom, if I have any.
That's great. Yeah. Oh yeah, man. That's cool. I think, that's great, because the nucleus is the art, right? And we kind of have all these plans and thoughts about career, job, and things like that, but without that nucleus, a lot of that won't really happen. So
it won't. And like, if you are phoning it in, right? Like, think of like, you've seen like an amazing actor do like really badly in a role, and you go like, ooh, you could tell they weren't feeling it, right? Like, imagine your entire like portfolio, your resume, your whole professional footprint and handprint and experience is like phoned in.
Right.
It will not, like, you can just tell when someone's like didn't care about something. And imagine if that's the only work you produce, because you've forced yourself into a situation of like, well, I'll do anything for money, and I guess this is good enough. Like, again, I get it. Like, easier said than done, right? You got to pay your bills, you got to keep the lights on, but just like, do what you have to do, because I've definitely worked jobs that I'm not proud of, but like, don't give up that thing that makes you you and the thing you actually enjoy entirely, because like, that is what will actually give you life and make this thing fun and enjoyable. And it needs to be something you like doing, because if this is like really a long-term way of life, you know, you're gonna burn out real fast if you're doing a thing that you hate. Like, people really they really underestimate that. They're like, well, I'll tough it out, and then it's like, you know, at some point they usually tap out and they're like, okay, it wasn't for me. Like, and sometimes you gotta like do that job that you thought you'd love to realize you don't like it also. That's another thing that happens too, right?
Yep. Gotta walk down the path.
This is where like removing expectation comes in handy, right? Because if you're like, no, I expect that this thing's gonna be the shit, and then it isn't, disappointment, right?
For sure.
But like, be excited, like take opportunities, you know, do what you gotta do. Like, funny enough, one thing that I worked on real quick, like, this surprises a lot of people, and it was a fun gig, and I got friends still to this day from that gig. But 2015 to 2016, for a year, I worked on this top-down isometric game called the Nicki Minaj. It was Nicki Minaj The Empire, and it was like literally the same company that made the Kim Kardashian those mobile games, right? Like, imagine me, right? The like 20-armed deity appendage guy, right? Like making like Elden Ring looking creatures or whatever, doing like Nicki Minaj's like wigs and like DJ scratch boards for like background props and stuff. Like, it's, you know, I was trying to like get hired at Bungie to work on Destiny, and I got that job instead, and like, you know, it was a great opportunity, and like, I don't regret it, but it's just like, you know, it's one of those things where like, if I just only said yes to those opportunities, I wouldn't have like gone the way I went, right? But I did what I had to do in that moment, and like, you know, it was fun. Again, it wasn't like a terrible thing, but it's just one of those things where most people wouldn't even like have guessed. Like, you worked on that, and it's yeah, sometimes
humble
you gotta
beginnings, man.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Right.
Like, you know, and it can, you know, like, you're gonna learn something no matter where you work anyway. So
that's true. And at least it's work experience. You get to know about the industry. You're meeting people, because a lot of people move around so much. I'm sure, even like you're saying, you have friends even from there to this day. I'm sure they aren't still there. They're,
no. I
to
mean,
other things, right?
I'm pretty sure that whole thing blew up anyway. Like, not too long after we all got off. No, I mean, I got a friend who is an animator on there, and he's been on like Call of Duty for like years now, right? And like,
right.
Yeah, so you move on to other things. And the other thing too is like, the pedigree thing is not, one last thing, the pedigree thing is not the thing that defines like the importance or relevance of a thing you're on, right? Like, if you want to work on something that is like, you know, more humble or modest and, you know, very unknown, but it makes you happy, like, that is a bigger win than like, I'm gonna work on the next big thing because it's big, but actually like hating that thing.
Of course,
right?
Of course.
It all comes down to like, are you happy? Are you doing what you want to do? Are you the artist you want to be? Like, that's why it always kind of goes back to like, but are you happy? If you're not, that is why, like, if I could tell some like young, you know, student, like, you know, I just don't know which direction I want to go, it's kind of like, just pick one that makes you happy. I would say, like, don't chase it for the money, because if you want to be, if money's the answer, like, go be a lawyer or something.
Something else. The
you know,
different jobs.
Definitely,
out there, right?
like, art can be like, in the beginning, especially before I got the bigger clients, I was like, oh my god, like, I don't even know how like comic book artists can do this.
Right.
Like, illustration was hard. Like, getting paid was hard. So yeah, a good thing I really love doing it though, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Dude, thanks, Robbie, man.
Yeah,
it's been an awesome conversation. I'll throw your contact info on here, your social media and stuff. Give Robbie a follow, and it's an awesome conversation, man. It was awesome getting to know your story a lot more too, because it's super original, man. Like, I haven't heard like kind of like your background ever, man. That's really awesome.
Oh well, thanks, man. Yeah, I think, the more you get to know, like I said, you can learn something from anyone.
Yeah.
And I'm an open book with this stuff, so we'll have to do one of these again sometime.
Yeah, dude, let's do it. We'll do another interview, or I don't know, even just like a conversation about stuff. Man.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do like one. You know what you should do for this format? You should do like a car, like like was it Cars and Coffee thing, right? Where like who is it? Was it like who am I thinking of? Like it was like Jerry Seinfeld or someone would just like drive.
Oh yeah,
drive comics around.
Dude.
You should just like drive artists around in the BMW.
You know what's funny is our neighbor, they're bumping music because they have people cool.
Yeah,
and I was like, dude, I might just drive in the car with Robbie if they're like still loud. You know? So I was like, oh, that's a cool dude.
No, I mean you should.
Comedy, yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's awesome,
you should
dude.
definitely do that, like artists in cars or something, and that can be like the name of your podcast.
Go rent cool cars every time.
yeah, there you go.
Anyway, brother, thanks again, man. We gotta do another one of these. Check out, all of Robbie's stuff. Give him a follow, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.
See ya.
See ya.